What's up, guys? We're back at it again with another video. It's going to be another One Piece chapter live reaction. It's going to be chapter 1180. I'm really hyped for this chapter. I'm assuming we're going to pick right back up where we left off last chapter, where Imu descended on Elbaf. If that is the case, it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal chapter, so I'm getting this out as soon as I can. It came out sometime last night / early this morning for me on my time zone. I worked all day, so I wasn't able to get it out any sooner. It's almost midnight, but I figure I'm gonna bang this out, get it up, and then let's see what we got to make another video on later this week. The chapter is titled Omen. The cover page is Vegapunk giving Zeus the ability to rain candy. So we see Vegapunk, Nami, and Chopper all on the cover. Zeus is able to rain candy. Chopper is super happy. He's grabbing it up. Congratulations for my boy the Chop. And maybe congratulations on him having a cool devil fruit too, potentially. If you haven't, if you didn't know, I have a video on my channel talking about potential pros and cons with Chopper being the forest god, since that seems to be the common theory amongst the fans right now. But anyways, back into it. We get a little note on the side of the cover page that says, so it's talking about the chapter title, Omen. It says it's read as Omen, but the kanji parallels Haki and could also be read as Maki, or demonic aura. So whether it's Omen or it's Maki, and that means a demonic aura, this should be a pretty gnarly chapter with that type of name. Because typically Omen has bad that kind of comes before it. So it's typically bad omens is when I hear that said. So probably going to be something. Our Oda note this week: how loved do you have to be to pull off a live concert like that? Arashi's final tour was insane. I'm happy for Oda getting to go do whatever the heck he wants. So let's get into it. We are still on Elbaf. This is great. We get to see Imu still standing on the spire looking out over the country. So in the distance, we can actually still see the flames from his pentagram. Still kind of like, they're still rising up in the distance. So like what a lot of people thought, the pentagram that he had made on the sky when he summoned in, there was also kind of like one that was made on the ground too. Kind of like symmetrical to it, kind of top to bottom. And there were flames coming up out of the ground for it, and it seems that they are staying. So it's almost like maybe like the bird cage from Dressrosa, where they're not going to be able to escape because of those flames. We also see the sound effects, dororon, 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 daran, which is what I believe the community has been dubbing as, or has dubbed, the drums of oppression rather than the drums of liberation, which is what Luffy and Nika play. So we see him standing out over on top of the spire, looking out over all of the buildings that are alive, the flames, etc. And it says, "The king of the world has come to Elbaf." Let me see. We then cut. Well, all we see is we get the houses yelling, "Ooh!" And then it looks like where Imu is, he just like, there's a sound effect that says "buff," and he just disappears. It almost looks like he splits into two. And then Hyrodine and, I'll be honest, I don't know which giant that is. That might be Stanson. They're a little confused. And then we just cut to somebody saying, "Who is..." Oh, this is Imu spawning in the middle of all of the giants. This is pretty metal. And he says, "Who is the king of this country?" So we get another, this time it's an up-close, full shot of Imu. He definitely does have the spike tail like we knew he had. Clearly the Naginata, the three skull theme. He has a lot of little white dots all over his body, and he has the tattoos on both of his hands with the eyes that kind of lead up to his arms. He has another kind of line that seems to be coming down from his eye that he has covered and down some of his body. I don't know where it would go to, but it probably leads to a certain point and cuts off just like his arms, how they do. Honestly, he looks really cool. I still like this little swirly thing he's got on him with all the skulls on it. So Dory and Bragi then pipe up. "Who the heck are you? This country doesn't... or who the heck are you? This country doesn't have a king." Imu looks over and sees Summers being pulled apart by, what's her name? Gerd. And all he yells is, "Great one." Oh! And the next thing we see are Gerd's fingers and thumbs cut off. So Summers gets let go. "What are you doing, Summers?" he says as he approaches over to him. And Gerd just goes, "Huh?" Hasn't even recollected that her fingers have gotten chopped off. Summers goes falling to the ground. Emu's probably either going to catch him or is out there in front of him. We then see Hyrodine yell, "Gerd!" and Zoro freaks out and goes to move. We then just hear a scream. It looks like it comes from Summers as he's crashing down to the ground. Gerd then screams and jumps back. They yell, "Her fingers! That maggot!" And then the houses surrounding the area are doing the sound effects again. Dororon, Chopper comes up. He yells, "That's awful. What is he?" as he looks up at Emu. And our man Zoro, guys, is squaring up right in front of Emu. He slides right in front. Swords out. At least 2 of them. He hasn't pulled out his Watto yet. Summers grabs his heart and he's holding it in his hands and he goes, "Whew! Thank goodness. Man, thank goodness I got my heart back." Or his core, or whatever the heck it actually is. And then we cut to Zoro, again talking to Emu. "Are you another one of those knights?" he says. And Emu just stares Zoro down. "Whoever he is, he's an enemy," says Harudin. Emu looks up to Harudin, just dots. And they yell, "Harudin!" And Stanson again, "Harudin, don't!" And right in that instance, when he goes to punch him, Stanson jumps over and kicks him. And he says, "We don't know what's up with this guy," he says. And it's kind of crazy he does that, because it looks like Emu goes to move at that same time. So had he not stopped him, odds are he would have just... Oh, I just realized. Emu just cut his leg off. Alright, Stanson had his leg cut off. Or rather, it's around his ankle. So more like his foot got cut off. Either way, that's tough. Harudin notices, yells Stanson. Chopper is in disbelief. Oh, another one. Just another limb chopped off. This guy is absolutely insane. "Get away from him," yell the giants. The tree, or the houses continue to shout in the background, the sound effects. "Forgive me, Stanson," says Harudin. "Who is he?" says Dory. Or rather, that's Bragi. My bad. Zoro then comes in. "King of Hell, 3-sword style. Purgatory." So he pulled out the 3rd sword. "Onigiri!" And he clashes with Emu. Emu just sends out his tail to actually clash with Zoro and kind of stop him. And all we get is 3 dots coming from Emu at that point. Okay, and then we see him open his hand and he does this. And then he says, "Omen." And a fire forms in his hand. That's all we see, is it looks like he then tilts his hand down. And when he does, it like shoots at Zoro. Hits him. It looks like, it seems like he coughs up blood or blood shoots out. So it probably hit him in the forehead or something. We just see Chopper freaks out, yells Zoro. Eames just sitting there looking over. Harudin jumps up. Axe in hand, ready to just cleave him. He does it again, except this time he does a motion more like this, where he has his hand sitting flat with his fingers like this. And then he does another one, and he kind of sets his hands like this, and the fire forms. And then he, like, aims it, turns it up, and it, like, essentially turns what looked like the fire into, like, a little face that gets shot at Harudin. And when it hits him, oh my Jesus, guys. It is humongous. It absolutely blows him up. I don't know how much damage is done, but it blew up like the building behind him too. This is impressive. The crowd shouts, "Harudin." We just see him falling back during the flash of the bomb. Zoro just says, "Damn it," as he's on the ground. "What are these black flames?" says somebody. As they start, the black flames start appearing. Another ring heads over towards Summers. It approaches him, and then Summers says, "Whoa, this is it. An omen." Emu then says, "Quickly, Summers. There is no time to waste." He says, "Yes, Great One." As he gets beneath the circle, and then all we see is it looks like they both jump off into the distance. Emu looks like he jumps up, and Summers looks like he jumps off at an angle. We just see the village continuing to freak out until it goes... Either that area goes silent and it stops, or we cut to another village where there's nothing happening yet. I believe it is still that village, so everything seemed to have turned back the moment that he jumped up and left. So it's just a AoE of where he at is, or where he's at seems to be what he affects. We then get, I'm assuming, Chopper yelling, "Zoro, let's get in the building for now. Everybody, gather the injured and the kids who passed out." And Jarl is just looking off with dots into the distance. He then gets back on the intercom. "People of Elbath, someone even more dangerous than the God's Knights has appeared on the island. Stay alert," he says, as we see Emu then flying away, guys. He didn't just jump, he pulled out his wings and started flying. And yes, they are black. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm thinking Emu, or Emu, whatever it calls itself, Emu, is almost certainly either in this body, he is a Lunarian or part Lunarian. My guess is he's a part Lunarian. Probably half Lunarian, half Ancient Giant, or Oni, which are probably Ancient Giant hybrids anyways. But I think he's probably a hybrid race, considering Scopper actually brought that up to us earlier on. So I have a feeling that's what he is. He has the white hair, he has black wings, he controls fire, even though it's black, so it is different. he kind of just fits a lot of the motifs of the Luna, and he hates the sun god Nika, which is who the Lunarians actually kind of praise, so he just seems to be a fallen one of them, more or less. Has the opposite views. Anyways, let's continue. We just see Emu flying through the country. We cut to some of the other places in the country and see the giants' reactions to what Jarl just said. They say, someone else is here, so it's not over yet? Keep your weapons ready. I've had enough of all these fires and collapsing buildings. Emu makes it over to where Gunko was, finds the block of ice, approaches it, and swings down the fire end of his staff in its direction. And then it clanks like a gun. His staff, it goes clank, and the fire, the cloud rather, the fire cloud kind of at the end, moves backwards towards the, kind of a little farther down the rod. And it almost like it cocks like a gun, and then it looks over at Gunko in the ice, and it shoots another one of those little bombs at it. And we just see it hit the ice, it explodes, and that's all we see. Then Emu's flying away. We were told the only one who could free anybody from that ice was Ratatoskr. If anybody else could, I'd believe Emu probably could. But I'm wondering if this is not that. Maybe I don't think he would just be killing Gunko, so it doesn't really make sense. But I don't know what else he's doing. He doesn't seem to check on her or anything. He doesn't leave her one of those omens like he did with Summers. He just flies off after it seems that he shot it. We then cut to Gabon's group near the lift, Realm of the Sun, and it's Scopper saying, what's going on? I've never felt hockey like this before, not even on God Valley. He is absolutely spazzing. We then cut to the Walrus School. Now it's all burnt. Quit whining. This beats eating frozen food, says Loki. Did Loki just transform and, shoot it with lightning? Maybe. Who knows? But it's still Loki, Ratatoskr, and Luffy. Now they're eating burnt meat burnt food rather than the frozen food. Loki says, stock up on energy while you can. Seems something crazy just arrived. Yeah, seems so. Ouch, hot, as he eats. And then Ratatoskr's over there eating too, just squeaking away. Love it. Nami then begins to approach Frankie, Jinbei, Usopp, and Brook, the two of them are still on the ground. And she says, hey, what's going on? No idea, but this hockey is terrifying. If they're with the Knights of God, Jinbei says, yeah, then we're going to be in trouble. And that's when Jinbei, and they all look over, and he says, is their target, huh? And then we actually see Sanji around where Killingham was, and he says, great one, as his body gets freed somehow instantly from all the ropes. And then an Omen appears above him too, and he says, an Omen! Thank heavens! Sanji goes, hey, who the hell are you? Looking over at Eam. Also, the rest of our guys, the strawhats, looking over at Eam. And they shout over at Sanji, that person's dangerous. Who said you could free him, says Sanji as he approaches and kicks Emu. Emu just seems to lift up his foot to block Sanji here. And then after deflecting him, he seems to kind of go to set his foot back down, and then he instantly kind of whirls over and does a kick and just nails Sanji. And not only does it hit him, it seems to explode and send him flying, because we just get a massive explosion. And then we just hear them yelling Sanji. Jinbei says, what's with the black flames? And then a foot drops in. Who is this? He says, hey, what business do you have on Elbaf? Emu finally says anything for the first time, really, this chapter. Here we go. He says, 14 years ago, Harald was killed here. I have come to find the one responsible. He was my servant. Like hell he was. Harald was my father, and more than that, he was the king of Elbaf. I'm the one you're looking for, Loki says, looking down on him. Emu says, I see. If thou had not been here, many tribulations could have been avoided. And then Loki says, where in the world would I be but Elbaf? Remember that next time, you dumbass. And that's the end of the chapter. This is a really gnarly panel. It's like the same energy that Loki had when he was in Alcohol Village after he heard that Ida was poisoned. Really awesome. I like that Emu's actually chatting. But all Emu really gave us in terms of his dialogue this chapter was when he's talking here to Loki. He says he came to find the one responsible, and I'm assuming that's because he wants payback for Harald, or he figures you're stronger than Harald. Harald, I thought, was going to be able to be my weapon to take over. You're going to be that now. I would assume, though, he also already knows that this is the same guy that he just fought in the Nidhogg form. But maybe he doesn't know that yet. And he'll find that out soon. But I would assume he knows who this is. He knows who Loki is, and he knows the situation. I'm shocked he didn't know that he was the one who killed Harald, honestly. But anyways, guys, that was a pretty awesome chapter, I'm not going to lie to you. Pretty good stuff. Really cool panels. Emu is doing exactly what I was hoping and thought he would do. A 10 out of 10 for me, guys. I'm overwhelmingly impressed. Oda's literally doing exactly what I wanted, essentially, and giving us the Sabaody treatment all over again. We're back to Sabaody, where the Straw Hats, we were all hyped up. We're taking down warlords. We're beating up the world government. We're doing awesome. And then, boom, Kizaru. Boom, Pacifista. And then I guess Kuma too, but he honestly saved them. Sentomaru even, who had hockey, and the Straw Hats didn't. We're kind of hitting that same wall, guys, where not all the Straw Hats have hockey. Not everybody can even damage the God's Knights. You're now assuming Emu, even though it's not just his stats that seem wild. He probably has major hockey defense, too, that we can't get around yet. Just like the God's Knights, where you need Conqueror's hockey to do real damage to him. But so we're getting back to the point to where we need hockey lessons. We need to learn more hockey and advance ourselves. But also, we're meeting characters in the story who can actually give us a hard time. At the moment, that's just Emu. So I'm hoping these omens that are being given to the God's Knights are going to make them really strong. And I'm hoping that's going to make them do and to kind of turn on the Straw Hats and the Giants and actually start being a threat to them, which they weren't the first time that they landed. Honestly, once they freed the kids, they mopped up the God's Knights like nothing. I'm hoping that those omens make them strong, give them a boost, give them something, another form, or anything, honestly, to make them more powerful. So that way we have another threat on our hands. But Emu really is a threat. He one-shot Zoro. That's a feat. We haven't seen somebody one-shot Zoro like that. Not to say that Zoro is done like he's done for the arc, but he is down. And he was pissed off that he was down like that. It made him mad that there's such a strength difference there. I don't think we've seen anything like that in a long time. Even when we were on Wano and we were clashing with Big Mom and Kaido, I don't think we really had such a massive skill gap or just gap in strength between the characters. It really is kind of like Luffy at the beginning of Wano before training against Kaido, right? Rather than how it was after, where he's able to clash with him head on. So if Zoro's getting smoked and then Sanji's getting smoked like this is bad, guys. The Straw Hats are in trouble. I know Luffy is stronger than them both, and I think Loki's on level with Luffy, so he's stronger probably than Zoro and Sanji too. I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to matter. And we did have it shown to us this chapter. Emu is, by my guess, Whitebeard, Katakuri size. Because compared to the Giants, I'm going back up to look at him versus Gerd. He's in hiding, he's pretty small compared to them. But compared to the Straw Hats, normal humans, dude, he's humongous. Like, he's big. I want to get the panel with him in front of Gerd. So he's maybe, if you look at some of the smaller giants, he might be a fourth of a giant type. And I feel like that's probably, pretty close to Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, Katakuri type of height. Which I think is like some absurd, like 16 feet or more. They're really ridiculously tall. But Emu's pulling up. I mean, he's one-shotting everybody. Hyrodine, Stanson, Gerd, Zoro, Sanji. I mean, he's saving both Killingham and Summers in the same chapter. Leaving people like Jarl speechless, doing something with the Emu ice. Maybe he realized that he can't free him. Or free her. I don't know. Scopper's freaking out. Like, this is great. Honest to goodness. Really great chapter. But based on the fact that Loki showed up, I would assume that Luffy is right behind him. So, and Ratatoskr, because we don't see either of them at the end. Maybe Ratatoskr was waiting for Luffy, and Loki ran off first. I lied. He's carrying Ratatoskr. So, Luffy's probably either with him or is just behind him somewhere. But this was a good chapter, guys. Very good chapter. We saw some different skills from Emu, and we don't understand what he's doing. We just know that he is absolutely tearing people up. Well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and stop right there. I'll definitely make either another review video to this chapter, or I'm probably more than likely just going to make a video based on Emu, the questions that we have and what we think is going on with them. So, if you've made it this far in the video, I really do hope you enjoyed, and I really do appreciate you guys. I appreciate any likes, views, comments, anything that ends up on the videos. So, if you made it this far, go ahead and leave a like. Drop a comment down below. Go ahead and mention maybe your favorite part of the chapter, your favorite flex Eam did in this chapter. Who you think Eam is going to flex on next? Do you think he's going to just take out Loki and Luffy? Do you think we're going to really get the Sabaody treatment? And Kuma's literally going to have to save us and we're going to have to run away again? Or in general, we're going to have to run away again? Go ahead, leave it down in the comments below, whatever you think. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our content. Well, with that being said, I hope you guys have had a good week, and I'll see you guys back with the next video. Later. Bye.